My name is Rory Houlihan. I ran for the U.S. Senate last spring, 2016, to stop the ticking time bombs so I could put our economy on track for the bright new day instead of all things ending. I lost and I'm not running, but the ticking time bombs are still here, and if not more so. Let me educate you on the ticking time bombs and give you the rest of the story. Part 16C, Part 1. How states' rights was financed on the backs of our farmers. States' rights are not pro-US of A. They are against our US of A and our Constitution. Don't these same state rights tell us that government can't do anything? Remember that inefficient and ineffective government is often used to hide theft. Before the Great Depression, there was a disaster of literally biblical proportions. It started on Sunday, a very black Sunday, at the Five Corners part of our nation. A black wall, 200 feet tall, came rolling on into country towns. One minute you had a nice sunny day, the next totally black. Horses, cattle, and anyone out suffocated, especially infants. Can you imagine how moms felt seeing their newborn die in their arms, grasping for breath? Today we hide in our AC homes. Back then, the only AC came from any breeze. People didn't have time to even close all their windows before this thing hit. The Dust Bowl, folks, saw that as God's wrath on earth. We had to do something, and fast. Soil layers that took thousands of years to lay down were blowing away. That is why we have today's government involvement in our agriculture. Fast forward to 1972. Richard Nixon started states' rights grants and aids program instead of federal direct funding to local. Soon, state governments across the U.S. started growing, and with that growth, states started to tax more and more. States' rights created a 50x total government growth and tax increase during the 1970s. Most of those tax increases was in the form of sales tax, which was felt at the register in stores, and especially in grocery stores. Families across the U.S. were feeling the pinch at the register. The start of taxation inflation, eating away the buying power of the hardworking folks, especially city folks, and urban hardworking. There is a reason why Nixon did an across-the-board price freeze during the OPEC oil embargo. All he needed to do was freeze oil prices and nothing else. But states' rights, taxation, and inflation had increased everything at the grocery store. So inflation was already in full swing, well before the OPEC embargo. Do a mental test here. Which costs more? Two kids, direct federal to local, or raising three kids? Giving the money first to the governors, and then the governors eventually giving the money to the local. Direct funding has 1 to 2 levels of an administrative bureaucracy, federal and local. State grant and aid programs have 3 to 4 levels, often a doubling of government bureaucracy, mostly at the state level. More bureaucracy levels is more government and more longer to get. Um, with federal to local, it was 5 to 6 months to get a program going. And now it's up to 18 months based upon what happened in the last recession. Huh, and it's something getting done. Isn't that the definition of an inept government? So Richard M. Nixon had to find a way out or a way to hide the fact that his states' rights grant and aids program was a total fail. Enter Roy L. Butts, who wanted to totally change the agricultural system. Before Roy L. Butts, the Ag Department paid to follow land as a land management conservation measure. to counter or in response to the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Putting a cover crop and letting part of the field rest for a year has been accepted best practice since the 1600s, known as crop rotation. If you plant the same crop year after year on the same land, the land becomes depleted of key nutrients and the crop starts to fail, setting up a desert-like condition, i.e. Dust Bowl. To encourage crop rotation and better crops, the U.S. federal government would estimate how much food was needed and pay farmers not to plant beyond this point. So there was always a portion left fallow to rest. The fallow land didn't go to waste. Farmers would put livestock on that land. The livestock would then add manure to the land and naturally fertilize the land for the next year. Crop rotation also included planting a variety of crops too. During this period, we had 48 varieties of corn alone. Today, almost all our corn is yellowed down. Loss of biodiversity is a ticking time bomb. With the slowing of the Gulf Stream circulation system, the heating cooling global circulation will now occur more and more in our atmosphere instead of the oceans. South to north, airflows will bring microbes from the tropical regions who will have higher metabolic rates into the northern hemisphere, and global warming will allow them to colonize this new area, our place. What most folks don't know is that 3/4 of the life on Earth is microbial. Most can be transported in water vapor. Ticking time bomb, sooner or later, plagues. This is the end of 15C, Part 1, How States' Rights was Financed on the Backs of Farmers. You have a good and blessed day. Bye.